see you all made it through the evening. Welcome to the Writers Panel 2.0. I'll be your host. My name's Capper General. If you don't know who I am, good. If you do know who I am, I hope you weren't at that panel last night. But we have a better one for you today. Coming up with me now, if they're done with their morning beverages, we have let's go up first. Up first we have Meghan McCarthy, writer of such shows as Foster's Home and Class of 3000. Then we've got M.A. Larson, writer of such shows as My Gym Partner's a Monkey, Little's Pet Shops, and the award-winning Adventures of Chuck and Friends. Then we got Amy Keating Rogers, writer of Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls. Sure you might have heard of those. And these last two, kind of newcomers, we got Natasha Levinger and Josh Haber, My Little Pony writers. Can I get some of that? Hi, team.
Morning.
Morning, everybody. So you all write for this show called My Little Pony. I don't know if anyone here has heard of it, but we have Q&A in a little bit. But I have a couple questions that I've been sent from people who've been dying to ask, but have never made it out to cons themselves. Yeah, really. The first one we have this morning is, how do you find a balance between keeping the status quo and causing enough change in an episode to make an episode worthwhile?
Gosh, that's tough. I mean, we always start with the character having something that they want. I mean, that's kind of the basics of storytelling. So they're either going to get it or not get it by the end of the story. So that's kind of what is going to drive the narrative. And it's been nice with this show in that we can actually have the characters evolve, so they don't have to completely return to status quo in every episode. So as long as you give them something that they want, and you want to see them either get it or learn why they shouldn't want it, then having that balance isn't so hard. It all starts from that first thing.
Didn't know if Larson wanted to jump in on keeping the status quo. I think that is a no.
It's basically, I've always thought of the show as sort of like a sitcom, and they always reset at the end of the episode. I mean, this show's a little different because there is, like Meghan was saying, change. But for the most part, the episodes just reset at the end.
Amy is known as being one of the best ukulele players that isn't an obese Hawaiian man. Do any of you have any talents or interests that you've ever wanted to work into the show script to showcase?
Talents that I've wanted to work into episodes?
Yes.
Yeah, besides my fantastic rapping, obviously, which I put in there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not that great a ukulele player. But, I mean, as far as talent, I don't know. But I mean, the rapping thing is something that I like writing raps, so having Pinky be able to do a rap song was really fun because of that. I mean, anytime getting to write little ditties for Pinky is always fun because I make up music all the time in my life. I make up silly songs like that. Like if you hung out in my car, you would hear songs like that a lot. So that is true to my life. So that's the most that I put into my episodes.
Any of the other of you have any talents that you want to work in there?
Your questions are too hard.
No talents.
Who is best
Rainbow
at
Dash
pony?
plays soccer because I like soccer. And I play soccer, so I guess that's why. I worked that thing that I like into something.
Sorry, man.
That's okay. We'll go to some easier questions then. What characters do you find the most difficult to write?
This is the best panel you've ever been at.
This is what happens when you have it at 10 a.m.
I think Applejack is the hardest sometimes because she's the most sort of even keel. So to push her to places that are fun and interesting and silly and whatever is a little harder because she's pretty rational about things and pretty logical about stuff. It's not, it's fun to do her, but it is sometimes a challenge to figure out how to push her to some edge.
Mitch?
I find Spike difficult sometimes. He's, I can't even really say why because it's 10 a.m. But I don't want to say he's generic, but he's a little bit generic. So it's kind of hard to...
Controversial.
Is that canon?
Done.
Canon.
Yeah, Spike is hard, and I get a lot of tweets from people. This season, I've gotten a lot saying, "Oh, Spike wasn't in this episode a lot, and Spike, disappeared in this episode." And it's interesting, but the main six, I feel like I have a solid handle on, and I get these tweets for episodes I haven't written for, so it's like, oh, sorry. But Spike can be, unless you have a Spike-centered episode, I guess, working the main six around each other, they naturally, they work together very well. And Spike coming in, it can be challenging sometimes to have him, have a voice in there. Fit in.
Spike. Spike's my favorite. I guess, yeah, I feel maybe similarly. It's 10 a.m., guys. About Applejack. I do like writing Spike, but I love them all. This is a really boring answer.
I think that Twilight is the hardest to write for because I live my life as like a series of one-liners, and I can write a joke for anybody, but Twilight is sort of the world building, all the plot and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that has to go on in any sort of Twilight story. A lot of moving pieces that have to fit together, whereas I can do a funny thing that Pinky says, or a funny thing that Rarity says, or even a funny thing that Spike says, but when you're writing for Twilight, you have to sort of keep the story in mind. So it's a little harder for me.
Stupid story.
And she's the straight man, and the straight man is often boring because they're servicing the plot, and that's often you're like, and instead of like funny, and so that's often tough.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, not that she can't be funny.
No, she can be funny, but
She
often,
can.
but often that's not what she's doing.
Right.
And like in the Rainbow Dash, one testing that I wrote, it was, she was being a teacher, and it was challenging to make sure that she had some funny moments because she was being very, authoritative. But in that way, she was funny because she was being kind of over authoritative. So, to be able to pull that kind of stuff out.
Can you guys hear him out there? Little so-so? Okay.
Can't hear Amy.
I'm going to have to speak closer to the microphone.
What about now? Is that good?
Yep.
All right.
Getting right in there.
Got to do NPR style, just really close, really soft tones.
Amy just revealed all the plots for season 5. You didn't hear that? That's the greatest cosplay, by the way. Gustav.
I don't know what just happened. Everyone just needs to get as close to the mics as possible, I guess. Okay, a traditional line of wisdom from many writers and seasoned journalists is to write while drinking and edit while sober. Larson once spilled an entire bottle of tequila on his laptop and had to dry it out in rice. What are your preferred tools and methods for inspiration and motivation?
Me?
I think yours is answered.
Yes, tequila, Joe.
Yeah.
Deadlines, basically. That's, that's kind of it.
Sweet, sweet checks.
I think it's the element. I don't even know if I'm answering what you asked me.
Just what are your tools and methods of inspiration?
I think it's just trying to like.
One of them now.
Yeah, I need them right now. It's just trying to surprise myself, I guess. Like whenever I sit down to write an episode, the only way it's going to be interesting is if I can try to find ways that I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. So I guess it's that, maybe.
Mine's candy. Straight up candy. Twizzlers, Swedish fish, jelly beans. I kind of have a problem.
I don't know that I have methods of, or, can you hear me?
Right up on it. Right inside.
Can you hear?
It's still not.
Yeah, I think yours is. You're gonna spill your drink, Mitch. Careful.
Just whisper it to me and I'll tell them.
I really don't have anything good to say anyhow. Yeah, I don't think it's right. My inspiration, I don't know that I necessarily have inspiration. I just kind of plot things out and try and achieve the goals. So I say, okay, by this day I just want to have the teaser done, and by this day I want to finish Act 1, and I try and just accomplish those goals so that I don't feel rushed by the end, and I just try and accomplish the things and try and come up with things that are funny, so that I just plot it out so that then I can think and percolate later. So that's it.
Yeah, I don't really have an inspirational thing. The motivation thing, I definitely need, but I have like crazy characters talking to each other in my head all the time, and I have to corral them or sit on the sofa and stare at the wall. Like, the motivation is important because I have to pay my mortgage. So I have to corral them and direct them towards the appropriate end. So yeah, I definitely, deadlines and bills, man, they're a great motivation.
You keep mentioning your mortgage. And
It weighs
maybe you have a
heavy,
really
it weighs
high mortgage. Made me move.
It really weighs on me, Natasha.
Right now. Does this work? Kind of.
It's good.
Yeah. You can't really plan inspiration, I don't think. But I have jokes will come into my head or lines of dialogue that I will write. No, something else.
Yes.
But I'm hilarious, Megan. So yeah. That's my answer. You're welcome.
Everyone is just so awake up here. I don't know if this stuff's gonna cut it. Somebody get some coffee, I don't know. How often, percentage-wise, are you presented with a specific task or product by Hasbro and told to create a story around it? How challenging is that?
Are we allowed to answer that?
It's not so much told as ordered.
could just not get upset when that's clear that happens, that would be nice.
I think people think that it's a large percentage, but it's actually a really small percentage. I can't give an exact, 3.2%. But yeah, it's not as much. I mean, I think people are like, oh, you had to do this, and a lot of times it's just like, no, we just thought that'd be fun.
I think if there's something in the show that you don't like, it's because we had to do it for a toy.
Right.
When in doubt, blame the toy.
All right, my phone is just blowing up, and I'm going to have a full-blown mutiny if I don't ask the question: will the Cutie Mark Crusaders ever get their cutie marks, or will they keep crusading after they do so? The answer is they can't answer this, but let's just give it a shot.
The who now?
Cutie Mark Crusaders.
Yes, they're gonna get them really soon, and then they're gonna lose them, and then get them again.
And then they're
Give
gonna
them to other people.
and then they're gonna become alicorns.
Thanks, Hasbro.
Canon.
And one last one that I thought was already answered, but apparently people watching the stream don't think so. Do you all hate Spike?
Yes.
Spike sucked.
He's like your little brother. I mean, you love him, but you also really hate him.
It smells bad. We don't like working with Kathy.
Yeah.
Spike's never gonna get his cutie mark either.
All right. Well, I don't want to take up all the time, so I guess if we want to have the Q&A, we can start that up now. I don't know where there's a microphone. Is there one? Over there?
Over there.
Ask easy questions.
I've got one that doesn't work over here.
Yeah, let's use that microphone then.
Oh, we need to be a little snarky.
Okay, yeah, it is. A little.
To be fair though, you forced us into it. We're being snarky, but you made us this way.
I'm okay. It's
They made us stay out late.
Asking about Spike.
It's a toy.
All right, so what do you think Spike's character is? Because it really seems like none of you guys seem to be agreed upon on who he is. I mean, sometimes he's shown as like a actual character, a little bit, sarcastic, immature, greedy, what have you, but has a cold heart underneath. Or sometimes he seems like almost a little incompetent sometimes, and he kind of bounces around a little bit. So, kind of wondering, are we going to see a little bit more of like him developing more as a character, maybe?
He has two really good episodes coming up in the next couple weeks. But I think of him as a kid, and he's kind of still figuring out who he is, and especially in relation to the main six. I mean, they're older than he is. Just they're the big kids, and he's the little kid. So that's kind of how I think of him and how I approach him. And so he's going to make mistakes and do some things that some of the more mature characters wouldn't do. I like him.
We're joking with the whole we like Spike.
Yeah, they're being
I
silly.
never even joked about it. I just said I love him.
But yeah, he does have some good stuff coming up
He has some really cool stuff coming up.
that Kathy just took to another level.
All right, thank you.
I have a I have a question. So, I've heard rumors that there's going to be like a Princess Skyla. I was wondering if there is going to be one, because I don't know.
The question is Princess Skyla real?
Yeah.
She's a toy that exists, but that's the extent of it as far as I know.
Thank you.
Hi there. Can you tell us about failed pitches, stories that will never be? Maybe some of your favorite ideas that just aren't going to happen that you're bummed out about, and this is where you can release them.
That list is so long.
I was trying to think of something you guys could roll with for a little while.
Actually, a couple of mine ended up in some of the passages of the Journal of the Two Sisters and the Journal of Friendship, because I was so bummed that they didn't end up as episodes. I made them journal passages. So that's how I was like, I was just so sad. So that's how I made them come alive. So you can read them when you buy my book. How's that?
Amazon. Is that available on Amazon?
But other failed ones, I'm trying to think of ones that totally died.
I had one that I could never really figure out, but I wanted to feature like a friendship between Luna and Applejack. And the only scene I had in mind was like them at the beach together. That was it. That was all
Chilling.
I couldn't make 22 minutes out of that.
I feel like you have to have so many ideas all the time and have a really sort of thick skin about letting them go immediately because they're not going to work or Megan doesn't like them or... I mean, that's like part of the process is just pitching everything you can think of to find a show that works. So I have a horrible memory for ones that didn't fly because I immediately let them go and move on to the one that I have to work on.
I was just going to say, or you can never let them go, just keep pitching them over and over. And so I can't tell you them
slightly
because,
different ways.
yeah, maybe she'll agree to it at some point.
Oh, I love when people do that.
I could tell, so yeah, I'm going to keep that up.
Well, thank you.
Schönen guten Tag. This question is for Emmy Larson. Earlier this year, you picked up this wonderful scarf at Hasbro Studios. Why were you actually there?
At Hasbro Studios?
Yes.
Wait, what?
I went to pick that scarf at Hasbro. Why was I there?
Oh, why were you?
I think I was trying to do like a hostile takeover with Megan. I can't remember, that was a long time.
Okay, thank you.
It was a Chuck the Chuck reboot.
Hi. I was wondering, who are your favorite characters to write for as a pair?
Oh, the pair?
There are a couple of good pairs. I definitely like the Rarity Applejack pairing that I did in Simple Ways. Like, just because they're such opposites, that was a great episode to write because you got to play off of these two ponies who are not anything alike. And obviously Applejack and Rainbow Dash are a great pairing to write for. Like their storyline in Castlemania was so entertaining because they play off each other so well. I think those are my two favorite.
I agree that Rarity and Applejack are fun ones to pair up because they're so different, and that's fun to watch them navigate because they're still friends, and it's not it's kind of a reflection of how real friendships are, where you can have friends that are really different than you, and how do you find that common ground and what keeps you hanging out. So I like them too.
Lyra and Bon Bon.
I had fun with Rainbow Dash and and Twilight. That was a fun combo that I don't think had been really explored before.
Thank you. Hi, I was just wondering, are there any plot or ideas that you've come across in all the years of writing this now that were basically something you really would like to do or think would be interesting, but were too serious considering that the target demo is, of course, a children's show?
Good question. It's like the methadone addiction story.
Yeah, the one you keep pitching over and over again. Yes, I'm familiar with that.
Mine was the,
We had one. Well, we had one that we thought, can we kind of do this, and it was a little too serious. We kind of hinted at elements of it, but didn't feel like we could do it and not make people cry. But I think we handled some pretty, obviously the show's funny and silly, but I think we do handle some topics that are a little bit serious sometimes. But we're not going to straight up murder anybody.
All right,
Howdy. I was at the writing panel yesterday, and from what I gathered, you actually write the episodes individually and have the occasional writer summit to kind of sync up and make sure you're in the same headspace. So I'm curious if this being a bit like your freelance work that you've probably done, do you find it, what do you like and dislike about this model? Is it different from other shows? Do you find it's easier to write because no one's breathing down your neck, or harder because it's harder to make continuity nods or know exactly what happened in the previous episode?
They are still breathing down your neck. It's just email.
I mean, I would prefer that we had an actual writer's room, but some people in the world don't want to pay for that. So, no one here. We would all love to be in a room every day together. But even on a show where you have a writer's room, when you get your episode, you still go off and write it at home and whatever. And we sort of approximate that with our summits, and then we'll come in and break story, like in pairs or whatever. But yeah, I mean,
I will say the continuity thing does bother me sometimes, just because I don't always know what's happening or what happened or what other people wrote. So you don't know if you're repeating. I mean, obviously Meghan wouldn't let us repeat anything, but as I'm writing it, I don't know.
yeah, I run into that. I get the occasional note where they're like, "Oh, I think you said this," and another, different joke.
Yeah, it would be lovely to be a group and have a writer's room and be in-house. That's how it was back when I was at Cartoon Network. And when you're in-house, you tend to write scripts either in the studio. Sometimes you do go home, but to have a writer's room. And then what you do is then you would come in and read each other's scripts, and then you hear each other's jokes, and you go, oh, that's what happened with Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and all that kind of stuff. And that would be really, really lovely, because then we'd know everything that was going on as we're going along with each other, and that would be really, really fantastic. But I think considering we don't have that, and the writing and the show is so strong, I think it's pretty amazing that the show continues to be as strong as it is when we aren't hanging out with each other all the time.
Thank you very much. I was wondering how important the puns are to the show. Is it just something that talking animal shows do, or does that come from you guys?
The puns?
Yeah.
The horse puns.
I think they're very important.
Yeah. It's what's holding the whole show together.
Lunch and puns.
Lunch and puns.
Lunch and puns are the two most important things that we have writers.
We wouldn't have episode titles without puns.
And when we had a summit, we went through a run where we were just writing puns up on the board, like pun titles. I'm trying to think what we had.
Oh, that's right.
We had like Applejack Reacher. We just like wrote that up on the board.
Downton Apple.
Downton Apple. Yeah, we just wrote a bunch of, all right, no, you know what, I think I left the room to go, because I had to go talk to somebody, and when I came back, I believe this was what had happened while I was gone.
Not only would we not have episode titles, we wouldn't have names of cities or towns either.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be a really boring world without puns.
Trying to keep things simple, favorite song from the show, My Little Pony?
Best night ever.
Can I pick one that I wrote? That's not bad. The one that I enjoyed writing the most was This Day Aria. That one was really fun too. And then there's another one coming up that when I sort of arrived at what the kind of chorus of it was going to be, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really cool.
I meant Epic Gala.
Wait, what?
Smile song.
I like Natasha's song. What was it?
Apples to the core.
Apples to the core. That is catchy.
Thank you.
Hello. I am a student at San Francisco State University, a creative writing major, and I was curious, wondering if there were any literary works that have had a significant impact on you, or given you some sort of inspiration of any kind. Anything from Keats, Wordsworth, Milton, Yeats, Austen, or Melville, that kind of nature?
Just in general that inspire us?
Anything, I was just giving some examples.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Josh and I both, wait, did you name her after Harper Lee?
Oh yeah. Both of our children, they're named after Harper Lee.
I like Vonnegut, John Steinbeck,
Yes.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, I lean on Douglas Adams.
And then all the collected works of Natasha Levinger.
My 8th grade journals. They're like there's some really good poetry in there, guys. Really good stuff.
What was your guys' favorite episode to make?
I feel like I've had fun on most of the ones that I've written. I liked the stories and liked what I was able to get away with in some of them. So I don't have a favorite one.
I would probably say the Super Speedy Cyrus 6000 because I got to watch The Music Man and write the song, and those characters are so fun. So that one was a good time, and I didn't have to worry about a lesson.
Testing 1, 2, 3 kind of fell together really, really nicely, and felt like kind of a throwback to season 1, and the message of it was something that was very true to my heart. So, like, overall, just I really enjoyed writing that episode.
Well, I've only done 2 so far, so I don't want to pick.
You have to, though. That's the question. You have to pick. I've only done 3, and I've enjoyed them all. Much more than anyone else's. But actually, the most fun to write was the first one because everything was new and it was exciting, and now it's not.
It's terrible.
No, because it was like this whole sort of Scooby-Doo thing, and it was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
What's it like watching an episode that you wrote, and how is it different than watching an episode that you know someone else wrote?
Narcissism.
One feels really, really awesome, and the other's like, meh.
One is like, I did that I did that. And the others are like, oh, who did that? Okay.
Well, I was going to say something that's kind of, because it's the animation, because the time from when we write the script to when the episode airs, it's kind of nice that there's this big long gap, because by the time it airs, you've kind of forgotten if there was like horribleness when you were working on it. Like the pain of it is kind of gone, or the things that you kind of, that drove you crazy, you've kind of forgotten about it. So I feel like you can watch the episode and enjoy it for actually being this full episode. Because I've done things where I was in film school and you would write a short and then you would make it and it would be done, and I could never watch the short and see the movie. I could only see the individual scenes, and I was reciting the dialogue outside, in my head as they were saying it. So I could never see this full thing. And with animation, it's nice because I can see an episode 8 months after I wrote it, and I'm not reciting all the lines in my head. I'm just enjoying it play out as an audience member.
And it's super fun, like, back to Super Speedy Stutter Squeezy, like, to see that song, to hear it as a song, and then to see all the animation they did and the dance number that was going on and everything. It's really cool to have that experience. Way cooler than watching like one of their episodes.
like watching one of my Flim Flam episodes. Probably it was a lot cooler, I would guess. I feel the same way.
Yeah, and watching somebody else's episode, I go, oh, that's what they did with the character. That's cool, and you learn something, and that's awesome. Watching your own episode, it's one, you go, oh, that's really funny. Did I write that? Oh, I'm so funny. And then it's just very exciting, and your heart races, and it's this very exciting experience. And then, so it's just a very, uplifting, hopefully, experience for you. Whereas the other is you're watching another episode of Pony, and you're watching it, and that's cool too.
Sometimes it's aggravating to watch someone else's episode because you can't help thinking like, why didn't I think of that? Oh. So there's some regret and jealousy that happens.
Do you ever have to work with the animators to make sure that they do what you wanted with your episode?
Are any of them here?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Jason or Jim?
How freely condoned. We are, all the writing staff is actually based in LA, in Los Angeles, and all the animation team is all in Vancouver. So we're never in the same building together. So certainly I have back and forth via email about stuff, but also I know when we turn in a script, they're just gonna make it awesome. So it's pretty rare that we need to have that kind of back and forth and me telling them, do this. They're gonna do it and make it great.
We can make suggestions, but
yeah,
they're gonna do their own thing, and it's always amazing. So.
Is it okay if I record this?
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Are you guys ever going to make more Doctor Who references?
Doctor Who references. Probably.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Leon Silla. My question is rather long, but it's really worth doing, so please pay attention. Bear with me. Thinking about the future of the series in the long run, because I think it's going to last for future years to come. And I believe that you make most of your writing decisions per season, one season at a time. So one issue that I think is worth thinking about, I like to point out to you a balance between two things. You understand that the characters have to be flawed in order to be interesting. For example, Fluttershy expressing herself in a humble manner, and Pinkie Pie accidentally annoying the crap out of everybody. but also pretty much any story, especially in a story like My Little Pony, in which the lesson of the day is highlighted at the end of the day, we expect to see some kind of character progression. The characters to evolve and change their behavior over time. So I was wondering, I really don't mean to be critical. No, actually, for the sake of constructive criticism, it's just that whenever you see, let's say, Fluttershy still being a doormat, I'm just saying that it's still being a doormat when she has supposedly learned to express herself aggressively. So my question is, do you have a plan or a strategy in order to balance the progression of the characters and making sure that they don't become perfect and flawless, because everybody knows that flawless characters are the most boring thing in the world. So I just was thinking, in the long run, how would you manage not keeping your characters flawed while still showing that they have learned from their mistakes previously?
That's a really hard thing to do. I think Lauren built those flaws into the characters, so you can't really eradicate them. It's inherent in them. So, I don't know, it just feels like it's already in them, you know?
It kind of goes back to the thing you're talking about, it being like a sitcom and how it resets every episode. Like his characters, these characters that are archetypes and have these inherent flaws that really don't change, but then every episode they learn something. Usually the thing they learn is not something that changes them as a character. It's more something that for the audience to learn from the example that they've set. But in order to have a show, you have to have characters that everyone recognizes, and those characters themselves really in a sitcom or a cartoon don't change over time, because then you have a different show, you know?
Yeah, it's just that some characters have changed over time.
All right. One character that I found really interesting and that was introduced in season 4 was Pinkie Pie's sister, Maud Pie.
So amazing.
Yeah.
She's the best.
And my question was, won't there ever come a chance where we'll see her again in a future episode or something?
I hope so.
We love her.
She's so great. I didn't even write her.
She's like Pinkie Pie, but way more intense. So, we love her, and we would love to see her.
I think she should have a spin-off.
Well, that's nice to hear. Thank you.
Hello. This is a question just for Megan, probably a little unusual, but out of curiosity, is it true that you are a Godzilla fan?
I am. When you first walk into my house in the foyer, we have a picture that's as wide as my arms of Godzilla shaking hands with Jet Jaguar. So you know that, right, when you walk in my house, and I love the picture, because I feel like if you walk into somebody's house and you see like a super monster shaking hands with a robot, like how can you not want to hang out with those people?
I got something for you, probably going to give it to you after the panel, right here. You're going to like it.
I have 2 questions. The first one is that in the show there's many styles of comedy, like slapstick humor, puns, and like banter and visual gags. What's your favorite style of comedy?
You mean like Earth Pony?
Comedy.
Comedy.
Oh, style. I thought you said style of pony. I was like,
This isn't really a style per se, but I like it in comedies when people are lying and have to lie to get out of things. Like the perennial favorite House Sitter. Everybody loves that movie, you guys. that's why I said that, because most people have. It's Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn, and it's really good, and nobody's seen it, but it's really funny, and it's all fictional lie, and I love that kind of humor. Jeez.
I like situational comedy where you sort of set it up at the beginning, it doesn't seem funny, it's just something happening, but then later on in the episode, you see the result of it. So it's not like a gag or a slapstick thing, it's like the long game. I like that kind of stuff.
I'm a big I Love Lucy fan, so I like that
comedy. So my second question is, so like there's been a lot of world building, like adding new types of like ponies, like crystal ponies and crazies. What do you think of the idea of sea ponies?
No.
What do we think of it?
What do you think about the idea of sea pony?
With like 4th generation makeover, I think they would be a great addition to the world of equestria.
I can tell you what I think of sea ponies. It's the thing I keep pitching that Megan keeps turning me down on.
Thank you, Megan.
I think sea ponies would be really good friends with Skyla.
Thank you.
Hi, I was wondering, do you all love how season 4 has turned out so far? And if given the chance, would you go back and change anything about season 4, like a certain episode or a way a character would behave or anything really?
I would be on it.
I don't think, I'm pretty pleased with how everything has played out this season. I mean, you know, there's always going to be little things that you're like, oh, I wish we kind of had the time to do this a little differently or whatever. But once it's out there, you kind of have to let it go and be happy about what you did. And I felt pretty good about it. I don't think there's anything I'd really change.
I wish it were 36 episodes long. And I wrote 10 more.
Because he has to pay his mortgage.
Right. Did I mention I have bills?
All right, thank you. Mr. Larson. As the person before me said, you haven't been on season 4. So, what have you been doing since you're somewhat sabbatical from the show?
I was writing a book available on Amazon.com. I wrote a book that was an idea I had like back in 2006 that I sold at Disney Channel as a cartoon, but it didn't go anywhere, so I wrote it as a novel and then sold the series to Penguin. Comes out this October. The first one comes out this October, and then in the meantime sold the rights to the movie to Lionsgate, and then I was writing the screenplay for that, so I didn't have time to do season 4.
Can't wait to see you back next season.
Thanks. Is there another season?
Yes.
All right, so just one quick question. How would the universe and the story be different if Spike was actually written as a young colt rather than a baby dragon? Sort of like a direct blood relationship to Twilight, sort of like our actual little brother.
Interesting.
That's a good question.
Well, he wouldn't be able to write stuff.
Well, wouldn't he be a unicorn since he's blood related?
I don't know, I think there's something sweet about that he's sort of the adopted brother. There's a different level of sweetness to that than if they were just blood.
But you hate him.
Yeah, they'll hate him anyways. You'd probably hate him even more if he was a pony.
Actually, I would like him a lot more. Okay. All right, thank you.
Hi, I wanted to ask, will you ever bring Fluttershy back as a bat pony again?
I don't know. I possible, I guess. It's just that.
Bring it back as a seat pony.
No.
Okay. So, my question is, will we see the return of the changelings?
How do you know you haven't?
Hi. My question was that, have you ever written a plot or had a concept that was so overcomplicated that you couldn't use it? And also, if you did, what exactly did you do with it?
Yes, and moved it to the trash on my desktop. If it's too complicated, it probably wasn't worth pursuing. Like, the best ideas are the ones where you say them and everyone goes, oh, yeah, that's a thing. And if you come up with a thing and it's like, I don't know, maybe if you do this and this and this at the idea stage, it's probably best to just kind of move on to a new idea.
All right. Thank you.
Hello. My question is, what was your original goal and intention for the show, and how did it change, and why?
Well, it was Lauren Faust. It was her creation. This new version of Pony. So that's really more a question for her. I can't really answer for what her kind of starting point was.
I mean, her original goal was to create an awesome show for girls, to have strong female characters that, didn't suck. And that's it. To create an awesome world where, a cartoon that was amazing, that wasn't around, that just a good example for girls with good, strong characters. And that's what she achieved. And that's what, has been built, and that's what you all enjoy.
That answer was way better than mine.
Do Earth ponies have a latent talent that's much more difficult to define than traditional magic? Example, like Mod Pie throwing the rock, or what factors determine what skills or talents they have? And that's harder to define than traditional magic in the sense that we've known it so far.
I mean, I think they are super strong. That's kind of their thing. And in touch with nature.
Yeah, they're really grounded.
With the earth. Pretty good. Fun's fun. Yeah.
Do you just write whatever seems interesting at the time, and are we just reading into things too deeply that are just, in the end, are completely meaningless because there's really not a whole lot of long-term thought behind it? Or do you just kind of write what comes to you at the time?
You guys don't read into anything that we do. What are you talking about? Never seen that. I mean, we have a plan. I like to think we have a plan. But the story dictates what comes next. So we start off with a premise, and then what is supposed to happen happens, and we just write it down.
And it's not just, ooh, what is just coming up to us at the time. We throw a lot of things out there. We put a lot of thought into it. And it's not just what we want. It's, Megan, submits a lot of things to Hasbro, and they have, they say yes and no and suggestions and things like that. It's not just like, hey, this is what we want to do today. So there's a lot of thought put into it.
Very interesting. I think in an individual episode, it's like a combination of the two. Like everything's really planned out at the premise stage. Here's the episode's going to happen. You break the story down. Here are the beats. And then after that, when you're writing the script, you just write whatever you want and try to surprise yourself and try to make it interesting and funny. So I think it's a combination.
But you do read into it a lot. But that's part of the experience of being a fan. Like,
Well, that's good.
I mean, like, we write a thing and we have a plan, and then the community takes it wherever they're going to take it, and that is just as true an experience of the piece of art as what the creators had intended. Like, that's part of the responsibility of being an audience member, is to create the world for yourself. Take what's given to you and make this amazing thing out of it, even if it's just in your head. I mean, that's part of the experience of interacting with art.
I agree. Oh, thanks, dudes.
With the CMC voice actors getting older and their voices changing, will that change how their characters will be written?
Their voices changing will change how they're written. I mean, I think they'll be able to work their vocal magic and sound younger when they need to.
Yeah, they're pros. They can always sound young.
So are you suggesting they're immortal?
Suggesting they're immortal.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I think they're already looking for Michelle Creever's replacement. I think.
I brought a companion with me. And she wanted to ask a question to Meghan. She wanted to ask, what were you thinking when you were making Sunset Shimmer?
I was thinking of the girl that was really mean to me in college. And how she was really manipulative and how she was able to like work her evil magic to make people turn on each other and so that she could be in charge. And I couldn't name the character because her name is a real name, so I had to name her Sunset Shimmer. I couldn't get the revenge that I really wanted out of facing the character. No, but yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is like, who's the worst villain in the world?
When it comes to high school.
A mean girl, like, who's just, their want is to just drive people apart and be terrible. Oh my God, I'm going
Twilight says thank you.
Hello. Just as writers, if you could pick any other writer from any source, kind of like how Neil Gaiman writes for Doctor Who would you choose as for a collaborative effort, and what would the themes of the episode be?
I thought you said Neil Diamond writes for Doctor Who.
Like he died, that's true.
I started watching Doctor Who. Who would we want to collaborate with? Is that what you said?
Yeah, and what would the themes of that particular episode be?
Are you asking us to pitch ideas?
Yes.
I don't know.
All right, thank you.
I guess I like working with all these guys.
These people. So you guys don't need any collaborators.
Self-sufficient.
Hello there. You guys do a lot of great work, like I said, and I would like to ask you, what is your personal favorite aspect of the show and why?
Favorite aspect of the show?
Yeah, favorite aspect, like the music, the voice acting, what?
The writing.
Yeah, the writing. We're all really partial to that part.
I don't know how I didn't see that coming.
I like that it's about something. that it is funny and there's kind of fantasy elements to it and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I like that there's a lesson because it makes it meaningful. And I think that's why it resonates with so many people, is because it is about real conflicts that people in real life go through. And so I like that. I like that I'm working on something that means something.
Yeah, and I like that it's not like a jerky show.
Yes.
So many cartoons are so mean-spirited, and I like working on a show that's not like that.
Case in point, SpongeBob. Like the new one.
Yeah, I like being able to watch it with my kids, like unreserved. Like I don't have to edit. I don't have to talk to them about. Well, don't pay attention to this part because we do have to scan through the commercials because I don't want them watching that. But my kids are 2 and 4, and I can sit and watch this show with them that I worked on, and not be embarrassed or have reservations about them being exposed to the content that, for frankly, a lot of the shows that are they're out there right now, I just don't, I'm not comfortable with them watching.
I think there's kind of two elements. Definitely what Amy was saying about just how nice it is. I'm sick of postmodern, cynical, snarky. You wouldn't be able to tell by this panel, but
do what we say, don't we?
To work on a show that's just sincere and can be funny without being mean is really nice. And I think one of the unsung heroes on this show is the timing. You know, it's a small thing that you only notice when you're watching a cartoon, but some of them are timed really badly and the jokes don't work. But this one, I don't even know who does it, somebody in Canada, but it's so well timed. So those two things I think are awesome.
Well, thank you very much.
Hey guys, my favorite episode is the Weird Al episode, the Goof Off episode. And what was your favorite scene out of the whole episode that made you laugh? And plus also, you guys should bring out a My Little Pony soundtrack for this show. Everyone here would like that.
It's on iTunes.
Yeah, I think they have one. It's not all the songs, but there's a lot of them on there. Like, what's our favorite, the funny for that particular episode, or just in a?
No, in the whole episode. What is the fun scene that you both enjoy? That made you laugh. That scene.
In any episode?
In any episode, or just that episode?
That episode.
Yeah.
In Pinky Bride? No.
Yeah, that's the name of it.
Question for me.
Oh, is that just for me?
No, it's all of you.
But are you asking in Pinky Pride or in any episode what made us laugh?
Pinky Pride heard out that scene where they do goof off.
Oh, like what's the funniest thing that when they're doing the?
Also, they should have a longer goof off.
The extended version of their goof off. God, that thing is so rapid fire. I can't even. There's so much going on in it. I feel like the whole thing's funny.
Let's realize the man in that show is fun. He's seen 3 times. Great guy. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So, will Rarity ever love Spike back or like him back in any episode?
Oh my gosh, y'all. We just went over that he is a child.
So?
What are the bookies?
She is a grown-up.
Teenagers.
And he's a little kid. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a grown-up, he's a little boy. It's not appropriate.
But that being said, we do have a really fantastic Sparity whatever episode coming up.
What is the roundabout ages of the main characters?
Ages of the characters.
Say it again?
What is the roundabout ages of the main characters?
What's the age that they're around?
I saw them like in their mid-70s.
Yeah, they're like, I was more like 40s, like sort of like a midlife crisis kind of time.
We have radically different views on these characters, Josh.
This is not gonna work. You ever seen Golden Girls?
Hi, my name is Bernie Rose. I just want to thank you for not approving Sea Pony episodes. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks for coming out.
All right, and we're out of time. A big round of applause for all our panelists here. Thank you very much.